Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Good evening, my dears. Oh my goodness, this is my very first show. I'm very excited, also a little nervous because planning this for a long time. And I do have a very special guest tonight, Quinnie Holland. Quinnie, please introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me here, Anita. And I am Quinnie Holland, and I am a success coach. And today I know you want to discuss dating relationships, and I'll be more than happy to open that conversation and to assist those who are having challenges.
Absolutely. We could all use some help within our relationships, Quinnie. So, Quinnie, want to get into your background a little bit. You used to be a tax attorney.
Yes.
Suddenly you decided you want to help couples get together. How did this happen?
That's a beautiful question. And I just have to share that when I went to law school, my intention was to be of service. And I was fortunate to assist a lot of taxpayers out there who were in trouble with the IRS. And so it was such a calling when I decided to create Auspicious Connections to assist others who are facing life challenges to move forward to live a more fulfilled life. So this is more of a calling than being a tax attorney. But the underlying intention to be of service is still there.
Of course, yes. And what were some of the skills that you were using to solve some of those tax-related problems that carried over to you being a relationship and a success coach?
I would say lots of patience and the ability to be present, compassionate, and deep listening.
Right.
Yeah.
We could all use some more listening skills in our lives.
Yes, we could. And one of the things that I took a little photo of something from Facebook, and it said like deep listening. We just intend when hang on, let me get that quote. I can't remember right now. Let me just get it. I'm gonna pull it up.
No worries. So you were using a lot of analytical and practical problem-solving capabilities in your past job. I'm sure dealing with the IRS was pretty stressful, and I'm sure what you do now is a lot more pleasing and interesting for you.
Yes, for sure. I think one of the things that I heartfeltly continue to service others is really when someone is going through a challenging period in their life, you just want to be there for them.
Right.
And coach them to get out of that
funk.
zone. Yeah.
And that funkiness.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're married. And how did that happen? When did this occur? Because you seem to be really, blissfully married when I look at your, Instagram and Facebook pictures. And by the way, you can all follow Quinnie on Instagram and Facebook at
Quinnie JD or Quinnie Holland.
Yes. How do you spell that? Because it's kind of tricky.
The Quinnie JD.
Yeah.
Oh, Quinnie JD. Mm-hmm. And then Quinnie Quinnie Holland
Right.
HOLLAND.
Perfect. Yes. Where were we? So you were going to share a quote with me. Did you find that?
Yes. Now, most people do not listen with the intent to understand.
Right.
They listen with the intent to reply.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. And we all been there.
Right.
And it's a practice.
Right.
And I till this day, I just love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's beautiful. So, Quinnie, I met you at a women's event, and I was pretty impressed by you. just looking at you from a distance, because you walked in the room and you had a presence and you were kind of talking to people I overheard about astrology. And that was something that struck me because I love astrology. I myself am like really into that. And, you know, there's a lot of truth to it, even though a lot of people don't want to admit to it. So you approached me at one point and you were like, what's your sign? Do you remember what it was?
Yes, you're a Taurus. And I say eyes for beauty.
Oh,
right? And
yes.
I got a bracelet from you.
I know, that was
Gorgeous.
awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That was fun. So how did you meet your husband?
Let's see. Let's skip through the background facts.
Yeah, sure.
But I would love to share, when I first saw him, we were at Sushi Roku in Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way he walked in, I felt this energy, you know?
Right.
And so I had a strong feeling that that's it.
That's it.
He's the one.
Yeah.
And
of course he fell in love with you head over heels immediately.
I don't know, you have to ask. But we started dating, and we have not been apart since that day.
That's amazing.
And that was in 2010.
Yeah.
March.
What is your most favorite activity you love to do with your husband?
Fine dining.
Besides, you know, the obvious.
Yes, the obvious, the chemistry part, right?
Yes.
You know, we really enjoy fine dining, and I'm a major foodie, and it's been such a blessing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm a nature girl, and my husband, we have a black lab, and we used to walk the dog together.
Yeah.
So, and we watch movies together. My husband's really low key.
Do you guys
easygoing.
travel?
Yes. We used to travel. Right now, our dog is really old, 12 years old, and he just had eye surgery to remove a tumor. So there are a lot of issue with aging dogs. So my husband is very attached to Max.
Right.
So we're just gonna wait and see what's going on. Yeah.
Now, returning back to relationships, so I'm aware that you do like couples retreats
And singles.
So what do you guys do during those retreats, and how are they formatted?
Okay. So when I first started let me backtrack a little bit. I first began with private sessions, right? And it was going beautifully.
Right.
And then a group of people came up to me and they're like, Quinnie, you have strong fees, so is it possible for you to do group coaching? And I said, well, that's a wonderful idea. So I began that this year. And what it is I create a very small, intimate group of no more than 8 people, whether couples or singles. And in that sacred healing circle, the participants get to process their issues. And it's an entire day. And so it's very interactive.
Right.
It's not me up there lecturing. I don't lecture. Right.
Yeah.
So what I do is I create space for them to process the issues and just be there to support them.
Yeah.
And it works beautifully because I'm getting a lot of testimonials from that.
Nice. What kind of activities do you guys do, or is it a secret?
For now,
just for people to get an idea of, hope it's not group sex, or maybe that would be good.
There's it's deep processing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's emotional stuff that surface.
Right.
I like to keep it private because it's a private thing for a lot
Sure.
of people. But what I can do is, doing our show, I would love to give out tips on how to create a happy, healthy relationship. And if you're singles, right,
Yeah.
we can move forward with how to get clear so
Right.
that you can move forward
Yes.
to create or manifest or attract
Yeah.
the one.
Right. And do you help people overcome their like emotional blockages that are maybe
Yes.
that maybe they aren't aware that it's holding them back from creating that ideal relationship that they're searching for? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Guys, I just want to say that if you're tuning in right now, you're tuned in to Grace Radio Show. We do have a website, graceradioshow.com. You can always stream our show live from there, or it's available on Facebook, Grace Radio Show's page, the Facebook Live. I do want to say that you can call in live today and ask Quinnie questions regarding relationships and dating. Our direct number is 818-602-4929. We'll get to the calls a little bit later. But for now, Quinnie, I do want to ask you, what are key components of a healthy and compatible relationship in your opinion?
Those are excellent. That's a really excellent question. And I've been pondering that, and I thought, I think number one is being present.
Right.
Okay. And what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, in my opinion, it means like really paying attention to what your other half likes, dislikes, what gets on their nerves, what doesn't, what they enjoy, what makes them peaceful, happy, and feel loved, right?
Yes. And more importantly,
Right.
there's an add-on to that I like to include, is the awareness of what is without the judgments. Okay? From there is where you can create space for one another, for yourself and for the other person. When you have judgments and that critical mind, you're never going to be happy.
You're always going to discount that person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's important to be present, to be in your loving, right? And also deep listening. Deep listening is to be present and listen to what the other person has to say without formulating thoughts in your head and wanting to respond, right? So I think it's very important to create that space for yourself in any relationship, right? So whether with yourself or with the other person. So I think...
Is communication a key component in your opinion?
I think being present, deep listening...
Leads to great communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's like you being your loving heart, right? But all the things I mentioned is like, loving is like the big umbrella,
right?
And everything would just kind of fall underneath it, right?
Yeah. Going back to astrology, you do incorporate some of that too in your matchmaking, correct?
Yes, I do. I use about like 5 to 10% of that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. And I must say that there's something behind that ancient wisdom.
Right.
And I really respect that. But if you ask me, do I Google and find out the daily forecast? No, I do not.
Right.
Right.
It's more in the science of the planets, their positioning, and all that stuff.
Exactly. And I do enjoy that part because based on what I have gathered over the years, and there's a pattern behind that, right? And one of the things that I notice is that when two signs are opposing one another, right, the longevity of that relationship is going to be cut short.
Right.
And I've seen this on a consistent basis.
So you're saying, for example, like if a Leo
and
dates a Taurus,
yes,
not a very good combination because there's a square aspect, right?
Yes. Now, there's a lot of karmic energy behind that also. Now, there are rare cases, right, where there's a
the
square.
Inner planets balance it out.
Exactly. Right.
I happen to know a bit about astrology. I'm so impressed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me because I said 5 to 10%.
Right.
The rest is really about your energy.
Self-work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your processing. Yes. And how loving are you to yourself and others?
Right. That's beautiful. Let's take a quick break, a commercial break, guys, and we'll return. Again, you're tuned in to Grace Radio Show, and we're happy that you're listening. Stay inspired, always discover and evolve. Thank you.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Need a new car? Auto World Leasing and Sales in Glendale has the best deals all year long. Imagine buying or leasing your favorite vehicle today with zero down, zero hassle if you qualify. They'll have you signed and ready to go. Because you're a rock star and life has never been more exhilarating. Call Auto World now at 818-246-1500. 818-246-1500.
Hey everyone, you're back listening to Grace Radio Show. I'm here with Quinnie Holland, relationship coach, success coach, matchmaker, celebrity matchmaker, which you don't want to get into the celebrities that you've coached because that's kind of private, but how was that experience? Have you helped them get married, tie the knot kind of a thing?
No, not that, not yet. I have coached and advised, and it's been very, very interesting. And, at the end, they're just people, just
right.
like us.
Of
right?
course.
They're looking for love.
And they're busier people probably, so they have
Yes.
a lot more challenges when it comes to
Yes.
relationships and juggling with all the traveling they do.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I hear that. Yep.
yeah. So what else would you like to talk about in terms of like relationships? I mean, you offered some tips. You were going to offer us some tips.
Yes. Well, I think the best thing is to, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Sure. I love being asked questions.
Okay. So I can just kind of coach
Yeah.
as we go along. I
Sure.
think that would be more interesting.
This is live coaching,
Yes.
guys. Take note.
So I would like to ask you a few questions, hon. So can you tell me where you are right now in your relationship status?
Oh, that's a complicated question. Well, I'm currently a single mommy. My relationship with my spouse did not work out, so I'm kind of on the verge of separating. So I'm it's taking a lot from me to kind of keep things balanced, but I would say I'm grateful that I'm pretty level-headed and moving forward with life. But of course, now with a child, I feel like dating is a whole nother ballgame. It's not like before where I used to just, have a date every night of the week. Now it's like, oh, I have a child. I have to have babysitting. I have to be there for her. So I can't go out every day. And then there's also the question of the person I meet has to accept my daughter, has to be good to her, has to love her like I do. So those are my challenges currently, like being able to meet the one who can not only embrace me as a person, but also my little one.
I really hear that. So, okay, so I get an idea where you're at, and can you tell me where do you want to be?
I want to be in an uplifting relationship. I want to be with someone who can enlighten me, inspire me, and lift me higher with his love. Be someone I can lean on, someone who is not going to easily break from the challenges of life that strikes upon all of us. And just someone I can have fun with, because I'm the type of person, I love having fun. I love traveling, I love adventures, I love outings like you, I love nature. So someone who's basically game, who would do those things with me and my daughter.
Beautiful.
At times.
Wonderful. Okay, I hear that too. Now, you mentioned a little bit about what's in the way.
Right.
So basically that's the question. What do you think truly is in the way from you getting from, you're here, point A, you're telling me where you want to be, which is point B.
Right.
What's in the way? What are the obstacles that are creating that from you having this?
Right. I think I can easily have that, but making that transition, emotional transition, is what's difficult for me, because I never imagined that I would ever separate from my husband, because it was like a life and death decision. Like, I'm going to be married for the rest of my life. But hence, life happens and things don't go our way. So when that happened, I decided, it's time for me to move on and be happier, because everyone deserves happiness, right?
Yes.
So now my biggest challenge is basically embracing that newness and not being afraid to make that leap. That is totally okay to let go of the past and build a new future.
Okay. So first of all, I just really want to acknowledge you, the courage it took you to leave your marriage and really, really acknowledge yourself for doing that, because not a lot of people.
Not easy at all.
No, not
Very
at
difficult
all.
decision.
Yes.
Yes.
So always to remember to acknowledge yourself and really be very patient and compassionate,
Right.
on your journey to yourself and others.
Yes.
So one of the things that I get a snapshot of where you are at, where you want to be, and what's in the way. So one of the things that being a coach, especially for singles, they come up to me and they said, Quinnie, I'm very clear about what I want. Right?
Right.
Do you know what you want in your ideal partner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, would you like to share the qualities?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Before you do that, this is the tip. So if you are listening,
Yes.
I would highly recommend that you get a piece of paper out and a pen and then write this out.
I'm taking notes. Quinnie.
Okay.
I'm taking notes.
This is what I call my top 10 list.
Right.
Okay. It's amazing on how it will support you in your clarity as you start dating, or whether you have someone already, and to get even clearer about what you want. Okay. So basically, it's top 10. So number it from 1 to 10, right? The first 5 qualities of your ideal partner, they are deal breakers. Okay. So make sure that you are very clear that these qualities must be there before you continue seeing this person. Right? Because, when the first stage or second stage of your first date, second date, we have a tendency to put our what do you call
Best face forward.
Yes, best face, or the these rose tinted
Right.
glasses on, right? So it's important to be clear. So this top 10 list is to ground you.
Okay.
Okay. So the last 5, what I call non-negotiables. The first 5 non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables.
The last 5 are negotiables.
Negotiables.
Okay, so basically you can compromise, you can negotiate on that because they are important. For example, let's say geographic location, right?
Right.
Some people, they don't want to travel outside of California or even like 20 miles, right? So I would consider that to be a negotiable
Right. Something
item.
you can work with.
Something you can work with.
Yeah.
Right. So I would highly recommend that you get into creating that list and take your time with that. Right. Now, for example, the first 5, do you know what your non-negotiables are?
No destructive behaviors.
Okay.
No substance abuse.
Okay.
Um,
How about we reframe that?
Right.
Right. And this is very important. What I would like you guys to do is focus on the positive
Positives.
qualities so
Right.
that you can move forward with that energy.
right.
Right?
Okay, so in that case, I would say someone who's driven, who's doing big things in life, someone who's loving, caring, a great listener.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not done yet.
Oh, yeah? Is there one more? Did I miss it?
No. So once you get your top 10 out, right? So what's important is that, okay, let's say the first one you say driven, right? I want you to describe that, get deeper. What does that mean to you?
Somebody who has a purpose in life.
And what does that mean?
That means somebody who is doing big things in life, meaning they're working on projects that are outside of this mundane life, day-to-day living life. Things that they take interest in, and they work at it daily, and it's part of their evolution.
So do I hear a bit of success there?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Someone who aims to be successful, yes.
Okay, so that's very important to
Yeah.
you. That's beautiful. This is your list.
Right.
Remember, this is who you're calling in.
Right.
Okay. So this is what I would ask the callers, the listeners to do is that once you get your top 10, right, the qualities, remember, each item can only have one quality in there.
Yeah.
Right. And people ask me, well, why just 10? Right. I mean, we can have 20 or 30 or 40, but then
we want to narrow it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to stay focused. Okay.
Exactly.
And so describing what each quality means to you is important because it helps you to get even clearer
Right.
about what you want. Right. Because when you say loving, right, I'm going to ask you, what does that mean to you?
That means somebody who is sensitive enough to my needs.
And what does that mean?
That means somebody who would listen to me, who would take body language cues, who would play into my whims at times, and just somebody who's a gentle soul.
So I hear playfulness.
Yeah.
Okay, so remember that.
Okay, playfulness for me.
For you.
See, sometimes it's hard to narrow down exactly what we're looking for.
Yes, but then once I ask you to describe that, your brain start thinking, right?
Right.
Do you start visualizing and start seeing? Because see, that's an important
I saw a lot
part.
of cuddling.
Yes, see, exactly. This is why I love what I do, because you're getting more emotional or your feelings are involved.
Right.
Because this is how I say it, okay? If you can get the list down, right, that's the first step. And the second step is describe that. And if you can describe that and get clear, you have to be able to see it.
Right.
Or,
Visualize it.
Yes. Visualization is such an important part of us being human.
Absolutely. I think we always visualize and then manifest.
Exactly.
Just like I visualized this show and I made it happen. And here we are today.
Yes.
It's such a blessing. No, really.
I love it. I love it. You know? This is what you're attracting.
Right.
And I call this the top 10 list, but it's really your master list. It will take you to where you want to be.
Right.
Which is where you're at, where you want to be is point B. It's a beautiful outcome, right?
Right, it is.
And this whole process, I encourage people to not set really, okay, here's the thing. Set an intention. Okay, and what does that mean?
Set an intention. Know what you want. Yeah. Have an aim. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, no, you're doing very
Am
well.
I on the right track?
You are. It's your inner alignment.
Right.
Right? What is it that you really want? So once you set an intention, it has a lot of energy, right? But then once you start moving in that direction, you also need to let go of the attachment. Right? Of the outcome. Because if you get so obsessed with that,
True.
You will lose your way.
Exactly.
And as we know, if you hold something so tightly, it has no room to breathe.
Exactly.
Right?
Or grow.
Exactly.
I was actually going to ask about that. You know, I noticed that a lot of couples, when they come together and get married, they get very attached to one another. And then they get so attached that they become so exclusive that they start excluding everyone else. And suddenly their relationships take on negative patterns in life. And then of course it leads to a separation or a breakup or something of that nature when the two people finally go their way and they're finally alleviated from that and they find their happiness again. So how can couples avoid this urge to attach so hard that they suffocate one another?
This is a really good question, and this is how I look at it. When two people are involved, they naturally going to spend a lot of time together, right? And when they start cutting other people off, well, that's not a very healthy pattern of behavior. Right? Because when you're loving, you don't cut anyone out.
You want to share that love with everyone else.
Exactly. You are inclusive, not exclusive.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
You involve everybody. You want to share your happiness with everybody.
As much as you can.
Exactly. As much as you're able to, based on time commitment.
Right. Exactly.
So my thing is, first, you stay healthy with yourself, being present. Being present is one of my favorite authors is Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
He wrote The Power of Now.
Power of Now, yeah.
And being present, at first when I read it, I really didn't understand it.
Right.
But after reading it several times, I'm like, okay, I'm finally getting this.
Yes.
So when you are dating, be present,
Yeah.
right? The
But
awareness.
also I noticed that along with being present, it's also important to be present with your feelings.
Yes.
Feel. I think a lot of people don't feel. They're just kind of operating on a mental level
Yes.
and not really feeling the person that's next to them.
Yes.
Because we do live in a society with a lot of distractions like technology and stuff,
Yes.
which are constantly, taking our attention away from our loved ones. And this is even happening with our relationship with our kids. And it's something that we can't necessarily avoid because it's part of our daily life, work, living. But for example, me, like when I'm at the house and I'm with my child, I notice she gets really irritated if I'm not giving her my full attention, if I'm on the phone for a moment. So I try to always put that away. So that also plays into this whole thing. Like being present, putting your phone away, getting off the computer, and really taking a moment to look into your lover's eyes and acknowledge them and hear them, right?
Yes.
And feel them.
And feel them.
And feel them.
Yes. Because if you're in your loving, you are spacious,
Right.
right? And so that energy can encompass all around you.
Right.
So I'm glad that you are discovering that with your little adorable daughter.
Thank you so much. She's amazing. She's magnificent. And I'm here to say that she is my inspiration for Grace. So everyone tuning in, this is Grace Radio Show. Check us out on graceradioshow.com. We're going to go into a commercial. We've been talking with Quinnie Holland, who's a relationship coach. She's amazing. Find her on Facebook and Instagram at
Quinnie JD.
There you go. And she also has a website called
auspiciousconnections.com.
Yes, if you want to find your match, Quinnie's a person. She's very high end, but she'll work it out for you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back and continue, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Need a new car? Auto World Leasing and Sales in Glendale has the best deals all year long. Imagine buying or leasing your favorite vehicle today with zero down, zero hassle if you qualify. They'll have you signed and ready to go. Because you're a rock star and life has never been more exhilarating. Call Auto World now at 818-246-1500. 818-246-1500.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Hey guys, we are back. This is Anita. I don't think I even mentioned my name. I've just been saying this is Grace Radio Show without even introducing myself. Well, it is my first show, so forgive me. This is Anita Martirosian, guys, and this is Grace Radio Show, and I'm here with Quinnie Holland, relationship coach, and we're going to get into some relationship coaching stories with Quinnie. So, Quinnie.
I want to share my first success story.
Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful. So my first client, she's a friend of a friend, right? No, I'm sorry. She's a sister of a friend, younger sister. And she's been challenged by the dating world. Mm-hmm. And she came to me when she was in her early 30s, I would say. And I had sensed, this is where the intuition is important, that somehow I would be setting her up. Somehow. It was just a strong intuition.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know her very well. I knew her sister. So I was out at the Montage in Beverly Hills hanging out with friends that evening. And then guess what?
Yes.
The universe plopped a huge single meetup in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Right in front of me.
Wow.
And I was sensing that there is someone in there for her. I'm just following my intuition. And I looked in there and there was.
Yeah.
Okay. And guess what I did?
What'd you do?
I came up to him and I spoke to him.
Oh, wow. Of course.
I engaged him in a conversation. Right? And before you know it,
wow.
got his information. And then a month later, I coached her, my first client. And because you know why? Because coaching is so important. Because everybody has a pattern of the way they dated or dating that's not working, but they're not aware of it.
They're not aware of it.
If they're aware of it, they may not want to do anything about it. Right. And so my whole process with her is to have her stay in a healthy relationship with herself and be able to stay in a healthy relationship with her new guy.
Exactly. And not to lose herself in the process, because that sometimes happens too, where we get so wrapped up into someone else's world that we completely lose sight of our own selves.
Yes. And so they went on their first date and there was chemistry, I tell you. Okay.
Nice.
But on her second date and her third date, she came to me. She's like, Quinnie, I'm not so sure. But then I'm all like, wait a minute, you know, here's my intuition saying he's the one for her. I was so certain.
Really?
And here's the thing. I knew I was right. Okay. But I'm glad she was skeptical and she was willing to look at this. Right. And so I coached her some more, sent her on a fourth date. All right. And they just got married last year, August 2017.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to take you everywhere I go to use your intuition. Quinnie, is this guy for me? All right, skip this one.
Well, you know, I've been asked.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to call you up, send you his picture. Get a reading on him.
Yes. So that has been such a joy, and I just loved it. I mean, it was such a powerful, almost like affirmation from the universe. And mind you, prior to creating Auspicious Connections, I was already setting up friends. And my gift is that my ability to only do one setup. And that's it. It's done. If it were to come through me, right? Or otherwise, I work with my clients to help them attract, manifest, and create. So I'm just really thrilled that my friends who are married with their husbands are still together till today.
That's fantastic.
Yes, so I love that fact.
Yeah. Have you helped other people like me who are coming out of a relationship transition into a new stable relationship?
Yes. Like I'm going to share another story. All right. So when I was getting married, I hired a wedding
planner.
Not a planner. What do you call it? Makeup artist and hairstylist, right? And she was really, really nice. She was a single mom, right? And this is what she said. She had really poor relationships. Yeah. And she was kind of like disenchanted. And so I was picking up her mood and her energy. But again, I was sensing that I was going to be setting her up.
Oh, wow.
So guess what? Fast forward a few months later, I was at my law school alum event, and a gentleman approached me. Yeah. Right? And I knew that would be it.
Wow, Quinnie.
Yes, and guess what?
How are they so willing when you approach them? That's what kind of like blows my mind.
Or they approach me.
That's crazy.
But see, that's the thing. When you're looking for love, you're seeking that, you're going to be open. And my encouragement to everyone is to stay open. Right. Right? Because if you're closed, you're not going to be able to think beyond or expand. Right. So just be open. So guess what? They're together till today, and that was 2012.
That's amazing, Quinnie.
Yes.
I just want to remind everyone that you can call in at this point with some questions if you have any for Quinnie. It's a great time to call. Our number is 818-602-4929. Please call in, and we are here at Grace Radio Show with your host, Anita. And we're going to just take a quick commercial and come back. Thank you.
Need a new car? Auto World Leasing and Sales in Glendale has the best deals all year long. Imagine buying or leasing your favorite vehicle today with zero down, zero hassle if you qualify. They'll have you signed and ready to go. Because you're a rock star and life has never been more exhilarating. Call Auto World now at 818-246-1500. 818-246-1500.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita. Only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Hey everybody, we are back with Grace, as always, discovering, inspiring, and evolving. togetherness is so important, and that's why this show about relationships, because the truth is we can't without each other, right? We can't. Right. I'm a romantic. A lot of people tease me. They say, you live in a fantasy world, and I say, yes, I do, and I have oceanfront property.
I love that. That's awesome.
That's awesome,
Anita.
right? Hey, if we can't dream, if we can't fantasize, then then what else? That's the magic of life.
That's the magic. Exactly.
That's the magic of life.
Yep.
So any other fascinating stories or questions you have for me, since our callers are being a little timid today?
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Do you have any text messages from anybody? Questions?
Hang on. Let me see.
Oh, guys, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Grace Radio Show.
I'm just curious, though, that if the line is free or
Yeah, it
it's
is.
working.
Yeah,
okay.
it is. It
Okay.
is.
Well, I guess they are a little shy today, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Yes.
We'll burst their bubble eventually.
Well, I was wondering if you have
Yeah.
other questions for me.
I do. Let's see. Do you at all take numerology into account? Life path numbers and all that, or you're not into that?
It's not that I'm not into it. I'm not familiar with that, but I do understand it enough. In a sense, there's a resonance in a sense, the repeated numbers, and anyone who is connected, what I say, to the universal energy would sense that when you look at a clock or you're looking at your watch, there's this repetitive number like 1111, right, or 333.
911 always comes up for me.
That's interesting. What do you think? What do you think that is?
When I look at that number, I get a sense of be urgent. It's not emergency. It's not 9/11.
Okay.
But it's,
yes.
But it's about being urgent with my life purpose, like what I need to do, like jump on that.
Okay.
I
think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, because you're listening to that.
Yeah.
Numbers mean different things to different people.
I get 11, 22 a lot too, and I know that 11 is a master number.
Yes.
And 22 is as well, because 22 is the master builder and 11 is the master visionary. And by the way, this is funny, getting into numerology a little bit. My life path and my name both add up to 11.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
Yeah. Numbers are
Yeah.
interesting. They're fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I did, I'm not sure, don't quote me, but it was just for fun, and I was just late at night, and I was just bored.
Yeah.
So I just Googled, and I was doing my name too, and I'm a number 5.
I think
Choices.
5 is associated with change.
Choices.
Yeah.
Yes. And so and here's what I want to tell all the singles and all the couples. You have choices,
Right.
right? There's freedom in choices. So do not ever think that you're ever locked into anything.
That is so true, because here's the thing, the institution of marriage, that traditional way of thinking makes us feel so guilty if we're breaking that contract. And then that's the biggest challenge I had. I don't have anymore because I overcame it. But I was kind of like, at first I was like, oh my God, how is that going to feel for my daughter? What is she going to think of me in the future? But I was completely miserable. And I thought, if I stay in this, she's always going to see my misery. And I don't want her to see me unhappy every single day of my life just because I want to keep the marriage together.
I hear that.
So for me, it was like, I had to really think about how I was going to explain this to her in the future. But I think that being the person that she is and this karmic life that we have together, I think she really is going to appreciate me for standing up for myself and being strong in this situation and walking away and building a better life for her. Not to say that my husband was a bad guy, but it's just we're totally incompatible, and I accepted that.
I hear that.
I
think you're modeling for her.
Right.
And what a beautiful model that is.
Thank you.
Really
but it took a lot
acknowledge
of emotional
Of
strength
course.
And sometimes people don't realize it because, you know, I'm always laughing, smiling, but I'm always thinking as well. And I have a lot of thoughts going through my head, especially in the past year. But I can say that I'm at a point where I've conquered a lot of my insecurities regarding marriage and this big institution that locks us in and makes us think that there's no escape.
Yes. I mean, I just want to say that, you know, for some, it's great. And for others, not so. So you have to decide what's for you and what works for you. Right?
Yeah, and maybe you don't want to be married at all. And that's
Exactly.
perfectly fine too.
Look at Oprah.
Yeah, exactly. She has dogs, a farm, I don't know, a network. You know, she's just living it up.
Right.
And creating every day. That in itself is like marriage. You're married to your life purpose.
Yes, you have a life partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I think the essential ingredient is that it's a healthy, happy, fulfilling relationship.
Yeah.
And I want to add one thing before I forget. There's this thought that floated in. Okay. You're talking about how it's okay, you know, to leave.
Right.
And I want to share a story.
Right.
I recall that I think it was just last month or 2 months ago. I don't remember. But I was at
Oh, we have a caller.
Oh,
One
we
sec.
do.
Let's see who this is. Hello?
Hello,
Hello? Who's speaking? This is Grace Radio Show.
it's Miran calling.
Oh, Miran, how are you? He's a good friend of mine.
Oh, okay. Hello there.
Hello,
Welcome.
thank you. It's a very interesting show, but I have two simple questions actually.
Okay, for Quinnie.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The first question is how can we motivate ourselves more effectively through reinforcements? And the second question is how does the mind-body connection affect our emotions?
Okay. Those are excellent questions. And the first question, I'm hearing you correctly, I just want to reflect this back to you so that I heard correctly, is that you want to know how to motivate yourself, right?
Correct.
Okay. I apply this in my life. When I want to motivate myself, I have to sit quietly for 5 minutes and just quiet my thoughts, right? I call it meditation. And just to quiet it down for a few minutes. And then from there, I ask myself, what do I truly want? What do I truly want? And that is the first thing. If you are unclear, you will never move with that energy. So clarity is utmost important. To motivate yourself, you have to know exactly what you want.
And sometimes that requires writing things, right?
Yes, I would always have a pen and paper next to you. Once you quiet your mind and you connect with your inner self and ask that question, answers will start flowing. And then I would recommend writing them down and then narrow them down even further. It's a process, but that's a beautiful way to motivate yourself. I mean, I'll give you an example. For example, I've been wanting to lose 10 pounds. I've been gaining.
You look amazing, though. I don't think you need that.
Thank you, love. But I love dessert. So one of my thing was I had to sit down and quiet my thoughts. And you don't really need to know the how, okay? Because I just need to know,
The intention.
the intention. I have to set my intention.
Yeah.
And so I've been very, very good at motivating myself and cutting out sweets
Right.
every night.
Being aware. Like
Being
when you
aware.
see dessert, say
Yes.
no.
Yes, I move the other direction. Or I would take a little bite and then that would be it.
Exactly.
Because I'm very clear that I do want to lose this 10 pounds.
Right.
Yes, even though I know, I love my body. But the clothes are getting tighter.
Mina, what was your other question?
My question is how does the mind-body connection affect our emotions?
Well, let me see if I can understand this. Your mind-body effect. Well, I'm not a doctor, right? But I can understand it on a very energetic level. So hopefully this will provide an answer to you. Okay? Mind, body. So if you have a thought, right, you're going to follow by a feeling, an emotion, right? And your body is going to feel that. So the way I coach is that when you wake up and you have a negative thought, right? I mean, there are ways to work with that by letting that first being present, aware of that negative thought, and then don't judge it, right? Just allow yourself to know that it exists, and then you have choices. You can continue with that thought. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? If it's not, right, you want to input a new thought, a positive thought that will serve you much better than a negative one. So guess what? If you move with a positive thought, you're going to have a positive feeling. Energetically, your body's going to thank you for that, right? So you know how people get sick, they have symptoms, and sometimes doctors can't explain
what it is.
It's all those negative thoughts, negative emotions that are affecting
a certain organ.
Exactly.
You know,
so
you've created it basically, so you
Yes.
can uncreate it.
Yes. So my thing is, you know, if you wake up with a negative thought, it's fine, but you have choices.
Right. The power of choice is
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
So few people realize how powerful it is that we have choices in life.
Yes.
You know.
And this is a beautiful reminder. That is such an excellent question. I thank you for that.
Thank you, Miran.
Right.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Likewise, my pleasure.
Thank you. So, everyone, this is great. You know, I wish we had more callers, but thank you, Miran, for calling in with your great questions. And, of course, thank you, Quinnie, for diving deep into all of this. We have to wrap up the show in just a bit. Are there any final thoughts that you would like to share with our listeners, Quinnie?
I actually have a quote.
Okay. I love your quotes. Throw us a couple.
Okay. The first one is from Lao Tzu. Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing yourself is enlightenment. Okay. And the second one is from Eckhart Tolle. I have to share him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Any action is often better than no action, especially if you have been stuck in an unhappy situation for a long time. If it is a mistake, at least you learned something, in which case it's no longer a mistake. If you remain stuck, you learn nothing.
That totally applies to my life. That totally struck home.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really grateful that I'm able to take this step forward into my life with the unveiling of this show as well, and being able to meet interesting and remarkable individuals every week. So as a reminder, our show is live every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time on latalkradio.com. You can also stream my show live from our website, graceradioshow.com. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and we'll be back next Thursday. Thank you, Quinnie. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. It's been so much fun chatting with you.
Likewise, hon.
Thank you.
Need a new car? Auto World Leasing and Sales in Glendale has the best deals all year long. Imagine buying or leasing your favorite vehicle today with zero down, zero hassle if you qualify. They'll have you signed and ready to go. Because you're a rock star and life has never been more exhilarating. Call Auto World now at 818-246-1500. 818-246-1500.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita. Only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.